Let's go back to the first time the idea clicked for you. I know it was all kind of built around the phenomena, Joseph, that has driven Formula One in this country, which is Drive to Survive. And for
Yeah.
you, it was all about the human stories, the teams that maybe were at the back of the grid, not necessarily winning, but surviving. And that dynamic felt like a movie, didn't it?
Yeah, that's what was interesting to me is, when you're watching the Formula One races to weekend, the focus is on, who's at the lead, who's winning, who's in contention for the championship. But that first season of Drive to Survive was about the teams that go out and lose every weekend, the rookie drivers who have spent their whole life trying to desperate to get into Formula One. They finally get a shot, and then they're in a car that just can't compete. How do they prove that they belong to be here? So that to me was the way in, was the story of a last place team, an underdog story, and I thought was an interesting place to start. And I was also fascinated. What makes Formula One unique is it's the only sport I can think of where your teammate is also your greatest rival.
Right.
And that conflict, conflict is drama. And again, another concept that I wanted to put at the center of the story.
So you were enamored with the notion that there were great storylines out there with Formula One, but what got you to email Lewis Hamilton and say, "What do you think?"
Well, I was lucky that I had his contact info. He was actually the only person I knew in Formula One, which is pretty amazing. And the story behind that is, Lewis actually wanted, he's got many interests outside Formula One racing, I think, as most people know. And one of those is filmmaking. So he had gotten my phone number from Tom Cruise while I was prepping Top Gun Maverick, and reached out to me and said, asked if it was possible if he could try out for one of the pilots in Top Gun Maverick.
Really?
Yes, which I was certainly open to, but I was going to, make him go through the same audition process that any actor would do, which would mean putting yourself on tape. I'd send a scene, and he'd have to put himself on tape, and we talked about, the time commitment and the process. And once Lewis realized how many months we were going to be shooting and that it was going to kind of overlap with the Formula One season, he realized it just wasn't going to be possible. But the way that he approached it, he was very humble about it and very curious and wanting to learn more. That really stuck with me. So when I had this idea of trying to craft a story in this world, I knew that if I made it, I'd want to make it in the most authentic way possible. And I thought, well, if I can get Lewis to be my producing partner on it, he can teach me about the world of Formula One as a person who lives every day, and maybe I can kind of teach him a little bit about the world of filmmaking. And luckily for me, that's how he saw it as well, and he agreed to partner up on it, and that's kind of where this all started.
And it created a bit of a seamless, symbiotic relationship, didn't it? Because he could teach you downshifts that were appropriate in certain turns.
Yep.
You could teach him, well, if we position this new camera that we have called the Carmen, a sensor on a stick, that on the car, then we can catch what you're actually doing in the vehicle. So both parties were mutually beneficial here, weren't they?
It was an amazing, amazing partnership, and the perfect one for this movie. What Lewis said to me from the beginning was he had never seen a film capture what it really feels like to be in one of these cars. Even he said the broadcast doesn't get it. He was always frustrated with the broadcast because it's like that's not how it feels to drive one of these cars. The one piece of footage that we both agreed did work was that amazing over-the-shoulder of Ayrton Senna at Monaco in the early 90s. Like the speed and the violence of that clip was the one piece of footage that he could point at and say that got it, So that was the touchstone, and so the tools did not exist to capture that. So we had to build them ourselves, and that was a whole nother process of developing this Carmen camera system in collaboration with Sony, and working very closely with Mercedes F1 who built the cars for the film and making a machine for shooting that incorporated both those into one object.